to explain to the people of the Federation of St Kitts and Nevis and the region the efforts being made by the OECS to secure adequate quantities of the scientifically approved vaccines. By the OECS, I refer not to the OECS member states as well as the OECS Commission, whose mandate from the revised Treaty of Bastille is to drive the implementation of the regional integration project. Contrary to some of what I've heard in the media, which suggests that countries are sort of flying solo on this effort, I want to state categorically that the governments of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States have been working in very close coordination. The people may not know this, but the heads of government of the OECS from the advent of the COVID pandemic have been meeting at least monthly with extraordinary meetings held for particular purposes with single or two agenda item meetings in order to make decisions in a speedy manner so that we at the Commission can follow through on the mandate. As Prime Minister Harris indicated in his earlier remarks, we are on the verge of receiving 125,000 doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca, and you would have heard from Dr. Laws the very scientific case that has been laid out for the efficacy and the value of that vaccine. We are also working assiduously, not just to secure the AstraZeneca doses that I mentioned, which we hope will be in. We spent all of the day today having back and forth with prime ministers. Prime Minister Harris was very instrumental in helping to secure, as in his capacity as chairman of the Monetary Council, the financing for the jet that is going to bring that quantity of vaccines directly to St. Lucia. We have made arrangements with the regional security system, and Captain Sherland has assured us that once we are clear about the estimated time of arrival of the jet carrying the vaccines from India, the RSS plane will be awaiting at Uanora Airport to begin immediate distribution of those vaccines to the member states. So a great deal of effort has gone into this. Aside from the immediate expectation of these vaccines coming in by Friday or the weekend, we have also been very aggressively seeking to obtain donations of vaccines from the developed countries. I think it has been explained by various members of the panel, the efforts being made on the COVAX initiative. St. Kitts and Nevis had the distinction of being one of the countries in the world who paid up almost their full commitment to COVAX. But as we well know, there has been a very aggressive round of vaccine diplomacy where some of the larger countries are looking to secure vaccines for their own citizens first. And of course, the OECS has been very vocal together with CARICOM in calling for vaccine equity to ensure that developing countries, small island developing states like ours, have equitable access to the vaccines. We have not just sat in expectation of donations and handouts from people, but we have been aggressively approaching other countries. The government of Cuba has approached and offered access to their vaccines. They are going through their stages for approval. The guiding principle in this is that for us, CAFA, we rely heavily on CAFA for guidance, and whatever vaccines are being applied in the OECS are doing so with the full knowledge and also with the support of CAFA. We want to also indicate that as a guiding principle, our search for vaccine support, just as we did prior to the vaccines, the search for tests, COVID gold standard tests, was 350,000 doses. In the case of vaccines, in the case of tests, we were seeking to obtain 350,000 tests. And we've been given great assistance by countries like Brazil and Argentina. So we continue that quest. Let me advise that even with the focus on the obtaining of vaccines, we continue our efforts to secure adequate numbers of quantities of testing kits of the gold standard COVID test. Because even if the vaccine is taken and we are able to achieve herd immunity, the continuing presence of COVID worldwide will mean that we will need to continue testing our populations to ensure that we have a handle on whatever may be the spread and are able therefore to deal effectively with any future trajectory of this pandemic. The guiding principle for the OECS is that no country must be left behind. And our chairman, Prime Minister Skerrit, as everyone knows, has set an extraordinary example of sharing by ensuring that what Dominica received has been shared. And I am not at liberty to give some of the details at this point, but there are many more efforts being made by all of the governments of the OECS, leveraging their diplomatic links and friendships and connections to ensure that we get adequate quantities. And a principle is that whatever we get, we are going to share to ensure that no member state is disadvantaged in the provision of vaccines or the necessary support equipment. At the OECS Commission, we continue to work with CAFA, with SEDIMA, with the chief medical officers. Our medical officers in the OECS are working hand in glove, again, behind the scenes. All of this is the very backbreaking backbone work that is being done, because the chief medical officers, for example, as well as our ministers of health, all have WhatsApp groups, so they are in daily contact. People are raising questions, seeking advice, exchanging views constantly throughout the day and at every stage of this effort. So there is no solo effort being made by any of our governments. No one is working in isolation from anyone else, and we are working assiduously to maintain that solidarity. I want to express our deep appreciation to the government of India for the expected consignment of 125 doses, and to the other governments that have already donated. We are reaching out to our traditional partners to ensure that they make the OECS a priority region. The British Overseas Territories, we have been informed by their premiers, are adequately provided for by the British government. So the 350,000 magic number that we are seeking to obtain will go a long way in ensuring that for the independent member states, that at least 40% of the population will be served by that 350,000 dosage number that we are seeking to attain. Beyond that, the efforts made bilaterally by governments, you just heard from the leadership, the medical and scientific leadership of the Federation, that the intention is to ensure that at least a large percentage of your population is fully covered in order to achieve herd immunity. So we are doing our part at the OECS to ensure that this happens. I want to again thank our chairman, Prime Minister Skerrit, for his efforts, to Prime Minister Harris in his capacity as chairman of the Monetary Authority, and to the governor of the Central Bank for their extraordinary effort in facilitating this timely and very urgent shipment that we expect shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.